Okay, here we go. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Terra Prime Live, our 10th anniversary. First show for our 10th anniversary. We have some guests here today, so we'll be able to answer some questions and do a bunch of stuff that we usually can't do on the show. So stay tuned for that. Also joining us is our friend Benjamin Jenkins. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. How you doing, Ben? All right. Okay, so as I said, we are in our 10th year of Saber Combat. So back 2012. Yeah, come on up, Warnock. All right, so 2012, we
I said this would happen.
Yep, see, there we go. 10 years, we still can't operate our lightsabers.
Back to the basics.
Yes.
On-off switch.
Yes, so it would probably be what, it's about 12 years since we got together and started doing, like, looking for the analog.
Yeah.
That we could
Yeah.
practice.
This is about 2010 that we said, hey,
Yeah,
swords.
right,
Swords.
and that's where Sword Lab came from. So even though Sword Lab's kind of like the adjunct at this point, it was the origin point for our stuff here. And we did do some Sword Lab stuff here that you'll be seeing. We did some group battles because we have a group and all of that. So that was very helpful in that case. And so yeah, and so now we are here. We found the lightsabers. I remember bringing them to him for the first time, and he kind of looked at them strange. And then I just had hold it up, and I went like this, and he was like,
Oh,
"What?"
we
So
can fight with these.
exactly. So that's what we've got. 10 years later, from 2012, we are here. We've got apprentices in from Florida, from Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania via Latvia, or Latvia via Pennsylvania. And of course, we've got John and Frank over here joining us. Able to do some cool stuff like that. And hopefully we will demonstrate some of the other stuff. So we started off, of course, creating the forms because that was the dominant kind of paradigm at the time. We came in, obviously, it was mostly choreography, that kind of thing. Very little this. And what we did see, people would usually pad out their weapons and spar and stuff like that. And we decided to say, well, we're just going to put our gear on. We're going to kind of go at it because our real idea was to use this to coax people into the sword, and it has worked. Yes, true. But this has now become its own thing, right?
Taken on quite a legend of its own.
Yes, we now have multiple combat leagues out there, which is not something we would ever, or wildest dreams of imagined would have happened because of this. But we now have some distinct areas. We've got choreography, we've got sport, we've got martial arts. All of that stuff kind of comes together into what we do. Obviously, we shied away from the choreography aspect, but we'll talk a little bit about that. There are real combat things that we always go into when we try to show a fight, right? And obviously that comes into our rule set as well. So we flash forward 2000, was it 18 or 19? It was 19 that the announcement was made, but it was 18 that the FFE accepted lightsaber as a official national sport. Since 2019, February, I guess it was when that announcement happened. I remember that. We've expanded into different areas. I've gone to Paris. We've going back and forth. Hopefully we'll be going there again next year. And we are now certifying people in a rule set, which can be easily taught, easily understood, and produces some pretty cool exchanges and stuff. So
it's not prescriptive. It's an open set that's available to anybody who wants to work with it, but it provides for a common foundation to work from. And as you were just alluding to, makes for a combative situation that's goes beyond just the people involved in the fight and know what's happening. It becomes much more visual, becomes much more accessible to a non-martial experienced audience.
all right, so we've got a couple of people on the chat here. Fitzford Wellington, very excited, thank you. Kang Snow from Lightspeed, congrats, thank you. Hopefully we'll be doing shows with Kang and Charlie and the other guys pretty soon here. Hello from the UK. Hello, Gonzalez Martinez. Yes, congratulations. And Joker's Favor posted some eyes. Okay.
I think we're being watched.
Right. Good. That's what we want. We want people to be watching this. Okay. Yes, bring on the hot sauce. We're going to try to do kind of like a hot ones type of episode at some point here. All right, we have another joiner to our little soiree here. Aro, how you doing? I can't remember. Are you the brother that's in Georgia or Puerto Rico?
No, I'm going in Puerto Rico. Roberto's
Okay, there you go.
connecting right now. He's in Florida right now. So he's going to be joining in 12 minutes.
All right, very good.
And actually, today is our birthday, so we're celebrating it with you guys.
Right on. Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Aro and Roberto are twins. In case you haven't seen them both on the program at the same time, some people might be confused. Why are they calling that guy two different names? But yeah, they're twins, so don't adjust your sets. So anyway, Ben, do you have anything to add to anything, or as we begin the show?
No, I'm just so sad I can't be there with you guys this time.
Yeah, that is true. We've had quite a lot of fun. We've been, getting into some stuff that we've wanted to get into for a long time, group fighting and all that. We had a lot of fun with that today. Yeah.
Everybody very
Yes.
enthusiastic.
Exuberant nods. Yes.
Exactly. All right. How about you guys? You guys want to chime in here? Come on up. We'll get another good thing here. Introduce yourselves. Tell us. I mean, you don't have to come up one at a time.
Coming out of Florida, of course, we joined TPLA back in 2016 and have been teaching others in our locale ever since. We've only grown. This is my first time being able to come up here and be a part of this. I'm glad it's for the 10th anniversary. And I look forward to everything that's going to be happening today. No.
Hi, I'm James. I'm here from Philadelphia today. I came up just to join the group and really kind of continue the training on. It's been a real life-changing thing for me. A couple of years ago, I got a lightsaber for a wedding anniversary, and ever since then, I've been hooked. It's just a new way to experience any type of martial arts. It's a great way, good exercise, good fun, and this whole weekend we've been having just an absolute blast all playing together. So.
Hello, Frank, I'm local here. Joined TPLA about 5 years ago. Getting introduced to Sword Lab and the lightsabers and seeing it evolve throughout the years has been very interesting, and I really look forward to seeing where this goes.
I'm John. You guys have probably seen me on here before. I ran into TPLA 2013, 14. Met Chad Brown the same time at a free comic book day down here in Ann Arbor. And to do some lightsaber stuff, and I've been coming ever since. Been a little slim the last couple of years, so I'm a little rusty, but I think everybody is after the last couple of years. So but yeah, it's been a great ride. More to come.
So we feel very fortunate that we were able to get this, a collection of people to come and join us in person for our 10th anniversary. Then it's sad that you and some of our other, especially our longtime folk, weren't able to make it this time. So we'll just plan to continue to do these in-person events as we're able to, and we're able to start doing these more often.
Yes,
So-
yeah, now that we've got pandemic behind us and all that kind of stuff. So as you see, I'm starting to gear up here. We'll do some demonstration here and stuff, so you guys wanna start getting your stuff on there. We'll do some demonstration stuff. Now, like I said, when we started this, we were basically focusing on the martial arts aspect of it, because that's where we're from. We wanted to give people a good training regimen, you know, something where people who don't have access to teachers and all that kind of thing can reference, so they can see how they can kind of tighten things up, protect themselves from injury, all of that kind of thing. That is basically represents our training modality, right? We start from basics, we add complexity, and we move on from there. Now, of course, we've all started with Shicho, which is our basic Form 1, that kind of stuff there. It's very universal. It's pretty much two-handed swordsmanship. It's based on Dada kind of military type sets and that kind of thing. And so it can be widely applied, right? The way that it fits into our rule set, and that is through the arming, right? So as you're practicing your sets, whether it be Shicho, right, Kashi, that kind of thing, these sets we use to kind of train all of the movements, dodges, that kind of thing that come in swordplay. And with our rule set, that opens up a lot more possibilities. So you can use a higher percentage of the stuff that you're directly training in combat and free play, right? So it's that's the advantage that we've kind of found about it. Now, because of the pandemic, we've had a hard time getting more people into it, but you guys have tried it a couple of times, right? Benanaro?
Yes, sir.
Right,
Absolutely.
so, yeah, so what are your thoughts on it, as it were?
Laura, why don't you go first?
Ben, go ahead, then I'll follow up.
It's excellent, right? Yeah, it's the very best training mechanism that you can come up with, right? And I think one of the things that was interesting was that during the pandemic, what you saw was that, you know, even when you could not get together, right? We had probably the best set of material for solo training that you had. And I think it really helped people step right back into the rhythm of things when we could start to get groups of people back together, back at, you know, Ithaca Sabers or the Gathering of Sabers in New York. So I mean, the irony is that, you know, yeah, you know, the pandemic slowed things down, but in some ways, you know, we also grew faster, you know,
Yeah.
during the period.
Indeed. Yeah, and we have definitely grown a lot. And you know, as with anything, there's you know, some people leave, some people come, or whatever. So we have we have a lot more people that we've kind of come into contact with than even are within the organization right now. But yeah, how about you, RO?
I think that, yeah, the system is fantastic, and the structure of the system lends itself so perfectly to both the online format and the in-person format that the pandemic actually served as a way to showcase how good this stuff is, that even when we were cooked up in our houses, we could still train and we could still communicate and share ideas in a very successful way, in which most other martial arts or education training groups were falling apart. The TPLA system actually allowed us to share those ideas, to interact with each other, and to keep the community going without it falling apart and without it basically destroying itself because we couldn't see each other in person. The structure of the system lends itself perfectly. And then when you translate that into in-person, being able to interact with other people physically, it just translates seamlessly because we all speak the same language and we all understand each other's movements. So I think that's the brilliance of the system, that it's not either or, it works perfectly with each type of format.
Yeah,
Yeah, very well.
very
said.
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I'll go get dressed too.
Yes, so Warnock will go get geared up. We've got some people almost ready here, so if you are watching at home, go ahead and throw questions up in the comment feed so that we can address them. If you want to see anything, if you want us to demonstrate anything in particular, tell us that and we will do our best to do it. We've got a few people here that can help us out in that way. So
While those questions are coming in and you guys are getting geared up, could I add a little bit more on a more personal note?
Sure.
Something that I love about the system is the community building. Apart from the specific curriculum and all the techniques and stuff that we learned, the TPLA system has been able to create a very sturdy community of like-minded people from very, very different backgrounds. We've got people that are from different styles of martial arts. We have people that have no interest or no background in martial arts that have been able to just jump in and play with each other and play nice. And that's another thing with this community. We've basically destroyed all style barriers. We've got people from German longsword, Japanese martial arts, Chinese martial arts, and we all love to play together with each other. And there's not that chasm from, oh, well, your style isn't compatible with mine, so we can't really play well together. In the TPLA system, we all play well together, even bringing in that background that we have and being able to pressure test it with other people that do not train on our style, and having that sense of community. I think that the clan system, in terms of the student structure in the TPLA system, was a stroke of brilliance, because then we could pretty much self-motivate within our clans and not depend as much on the instructors and the masters and the headmasters to give us day-to-day feedback. We came up with our own, clan challenges and then just posted it to you guys for you guys to see the stuff that we were coming up with and give us your feedback, which I think created a very, very cool, very, very self-sustaining community.
Very good. Yeah, and that was obviously what we were saying, Matt and I were just saying, is exactly what we were trying to do. Like, we came together and we were trying to find a way that we could interact together and put these things together, see compare them, see what the similarities and differences are. And obviously this became the good old stand-in. So, all right, let's have two of you guys come up here and we'll go in here. All right, Desso and James. All right, so first thing we'll go over here is with the rules. Okay, so the basic idea of the ASL rules is based on arming and priority. Okay, arming is basically bringing your weapon or the tip of your weapon behind you before you bring it forward, right? So there has to be a backward motion and a forward motion, right? Or you take the whole thing around. You can go around your, around your body. You can do that kind of thing. There's also lots of preliminary movements that you can string together to create fancy combos, right? And all of that. But the major purpose of arming and priority is to kind of set up a turn-taking scenario, right? Now, the reason that we want to do this is because we are focused a little bit more on the spectator, right? Spectators understand back and forth. They understand a tennis match. They understand a volleyball match. They understand a basketball match, right? With fencing and swords, these distinctions are not always clear. So a lot of people who don't know or don't have any interest in this type of thing, they don't really understand what's going on. They don't really get much interest in. So the first thing that we'll talk about here is the engagement arming. Now, this is a controversial topic for a lot of people, right? A lot of people who've liked the priority system will bring it in and they'll kind of omit the engagement arming part, in my opinion, to the detriment of the game. The game really benefits from having this. Now, the engagement arming is you actually are going to take your entire weapon and hand behind your back, okay? And that is basically this hand and going back like this. Now, if you've got two hands on it like this is the hand that we're looking at to go behind, right? And so that there's a portion of this that is also behind, and we're looking at it from this point. This is our center line right here, right? So if I lean forward like that, even though my back's at an angle, you see, as long as I bring it behind this point, like that, even though this may not be completely behind my back, it's still good. Now, what this does is it's a very, very large movement, and it's taken from the sport came to combat, which is basically French stick fighting. And if you look at that, that's a very exciting sport. Lots of jumping around, lots of the other taro kind of stuff. So that's what starts out our engagements. After we do this, now, once we're going back and forth, we only have to bring the tip back, right? We can go the full way. That's totally okay, right? But the point is once we arm our strike, the opponent cannot do anything but defend. They can't counterattack while we're in the midst of it, all of that. So it, again, sets up a kind of turn-taking scenario, right? That may not be realistic to some people, whatever, but there's always a kind of give and take between realism and sport and fairness and everything like that. So what we'll do here is we've got Desso and James. We'll have them kind of go through one little exchange, what we call a phrase, and then we'll kind of go through it and watch it, okay? Or we'll talk about it. Okay, so first off, they are totally geared. Well, we need to get your shoulders. So Frank, why did you come in? Okay, so gear. I'm not there. No, make sure you wear your cup because that's our test, right? Whack. No, we're not gonna do that. Anyway, so we've got Frank over here, we got Deso over here. We'll just have a quick little exchange and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so on your guard. And fight. Yeah, all right. Okay, so Deso got Frank on essentially the ribs right here. Now notice, we're just touching. We're not hitting. We're not, and we're not creating bends in this. We're really just trying to get little touches in there, right? This is not a full contact sport, right? We're not allowed to grapple. We're not allowed to come in and crash bodies or anything like that. So, okay, so that particular exchange, we saw a couple of cool things. We got a couple of engagement arms. We've had parries and we've had dodges. Both are defensive techniques, so both of them cause priority to switch, right? So if we go real slow, we'll start with Frank. So Frank, you do engagement arming here. He comes in, Deso defends. Now he returned with simple arming. He's going to then defend either by dodging, getting out of the way, and then he will arm his strike. And then there's that. Now, there is a dodge. So priority, as soon as his saber passes his target, priority switches back over to Frank. So then he can dodge and come directly in. Right? And then it continues. So he got ticked on the hand there. We don't know if the ref would have seen that or whatever, but that's that. So those are the basics of it. Let's see if we've got any. So we do have a question here, which is a little bit more onto the training thing. Can you say more about the process of how you decided what the forms were going to be and how did you reach the consensus from differing martial artists? That's you. So, okay, so before we continue, I'll quickly talk about that because it'll come in here. The way that it's fictionally set up with the forms and stuff like that in the video games and in the novels and stuff, it's material written about martial arts by people who don't know martial arts. So it's basically based on how people envision these things. And when we looked at it from a martial standpoint, these things are not styles, right? We're not going to say, oh, Ataru is wushu and Gemso is German longsword, right? No, every style is every form, right? They're more a progression, compartments of learning. So we've got our Shicho, which is our basics, Makashi, which is our dueling. So you're going to see a lot of that kind of strategy in these things. And then we've got our Suresu and Ataru. Suresu is our major defense and Ataru is our major attack. So that's going to deal with those two things. All of those things are contained in all styles. Specific techniques may be trained from other styles if your style doesn't contain those things. So basically, if you're a Kendoka and you will slip right into Shicho with no problem. Makashi might give you a little bit of a challenge, right? Because now you're taking your hand off of one end, you're no longer doing it two-handed, you're moving to the side and you're using much different footwork, right? So whereas with a Kendoka, you're usually kind of more like this. with a fencing or that kind of thing, you're gonna be more kind of to the side. So that's, was that, anything to add?
Just to kind of summarize, it is a complete comprehensive art in and of itself. Each of the 7 forms encompasses kind of specific subspecialties you might find in just about any martial art. And there was a part of the question was about how did we come to a consensus with other martial artists?
Yeah,
And most of the people in this room are martial artists of some type or another. The consensus is that we've all agreed to, when we are using this particular set of tools and these particular sets of rules, we've all agreed to abide by the rules that have been set up in order to play this particular.
right, but I think what he's getting at is how did we reach a consensus of what each of these forms was to be with having all kinds of different martial artists, right? And like I said, we've stripped all of that style stuff away. Our forms do not line up with martial arts styles, right? So if you're in wushu, you're going to need all of these skills, right? There is no wushu form, right? You will, if you're from a Chinese background or a wushu background, your forms may take on a slightly different look, slightly different flavor. But there's nothing in our system that prevents any cross-pollination or anything like that. Again, our goal was to strip style away, find the physical benefits, find the ways that you can get these things done with the most amount of efficiency, right? You know, every martial arts style has its issues with going from training to application, right? So what we have you guys come in, switch out, John and James. And why don't we go two-handed with this guy, with this one? So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do a short little exchange. Now they're going to be using 2 hands on their sabers. And like I said, this is armed, right? Even though this hand might be sticking out a little bit far, the weapon and the blade are behind, right? So there's where you got. So they're going to primarily use those types of techniques. So we'll go here, on guard. Absolute, and fight. Hit. Okay, so pretty simple, but still effective, right? We had a hit on the head there, so that's what happened there. All right, want to do another one here? Okay, on guard. Fight. Ooh. Good. All right, so we got another hit on the head there. So you can see 2-handed, 1-handed, it doesn't much matter. We can play with both of these styles and methods, and we will still be able to continue the match, right? If you have your glove, you still got the broken glove. Yes, we had. So this is a product warning. We had this happen. This is a pretty brand new glove. It wasn't much of a hit, but it just popped that knuckle guard right off. So your red dragons, check them. Make sure that they're in good working order.
That's a valid thing to say about all of your protective equipment.
This is true. Always check your gear to make sure it's in appropriate working order. Obviously, in any type of competition, if you don't have properly maintained gear, you can be disqualified. So, and that, I mean, any sport from football to racquetball. I mean, I don't know what gear you use for racquetball, but that kind of stuff. We'll do that. So, all right. So we've got a couple of more joiners here. Roberto has joined us. How you doing, Roberto?
Greetings, doing great. Happy to be here.
And we may have a secret guest here. I don't know if he's there, but we'll let him announce him. There he is. All right, Faisal Main from Silver Sabers over in the UK. How you doing?
I'm good. I just got back from training. I'm setting up.
All right. Well, we'll continue here and then we'll catch back up with you in a moment. All right. Okay, so do we have any more questions? Not at right now. So you guys that we have here, questions you have about using this, things that you've come into contact with. We've gone through the basics. Our basics are all up on our YouTube page and all that. You can see the different rules, and we're going to be getting the rule or the American rule book out pretty soon, but you can see the French rules translated into English on our website. Anybody here, do you have questions that or something you'd like to see demonstrated in this scenario that perhaps there's not there? Ben.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with some of the
Oh, you're
basic.
muted. Or maybe not.
I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Okay, there you go.
Okay, let's start with some of the basic questions that I think might be like really useful for people to hear at home. So you said that we were just doing a touch, in our sparring. How hard of a hit in, a TPLA FFE kind of a match? How hard of a hit is an unacceptable hit, or what are unacceptable areas for targeting?
Good question. So obviously the precise definition of what is too hard is difficult to define. And we'll take over this one here. So essentially, it's going to be up to a referee, right? There are a couple of factors that go into how you can discern force. The first one, which is probably the least reliable, is sound, right? These plastic things make pretty loud sounds when hit against other plastic things. So yeah, especially I had a problem in France because when anybody would hit my shin, it was so loud, people would say, oh, excessive force, but it wasn't excessive force, it was just a touch, but that's pretty loud. I just tapped it, right? That's pretty loud. So that's not exactly the best thing. However, you can discern some things from sound, right? So like from the head, let's say we're going through here and he throws a head, throw it just like a little bit hard to the right here, right? Okay. So that's fairly heavy, right? But it's hard to tell from the outside, right? So if he just touches it, if he just does the touch, okay, that's that. The heavier one, is there much of a difference? Not really, right? So that's difficult. One of the things that will probably be looked at is the flex of your saber, right? How much it deforms when you get hit. Also, what happens when your sabers collide? So we're going here. If we're doing that and you see that big bounce, there's a good chance that at least one of those fighters is probably hitting too hard, right? You will hit hard because you're trying to move fast, right? But the point is we're not going to go right or like that. We're going to go boom, right? We're going to bounce off that target. If you don't see a really good bounce or whatever, that's something for excessive force. Another thing, you cannot blow through people's parries, right? If he comes in and I parry and he blows through it, but my parry is in the right place, that's probably due to him pushing and blowing through my parry. We don't want to do that. So even if that happened, that is still a successful parry for me because I made a concerted effort to defend myself, right?
Same, but me throwing with a normal weight. strike.
Yeah, okay, so this is a normal weight strike. You see? Here, I'll turn mine on too. Just so everybody can see it. Yeah, you can see the bend too in the
So heavy hit,
heavy hit. Good.
normal hit. Normal weight.
There. So that's kind of an illustration of it. Now, if you were to come and try to become a referee for this, there's a whole slew of stuff that we'll throw at you to help make this decision, which is pretty tedious to get into right here, but understand that it's there. Okay. And so hits to the glove, right? That's about as hard as you should hear it, right? If you hear it any harder, if somebody gets a hit to the hand and they do this, right? That's something that the referee might start to perk up and say, oh, okay, what's going in there? So the question of how hard is too hard is a difficult one to answer and is going to be a judgment call within a point, right? But understand, if you are constantly, like if I do an engagement arming and swing at him and he dodges, and I do that, the ref can already stop me for excessive force because he could tell, or they could tell, that that's way too hard, right? If he'll just block it, so I won't actually hit him, but just block it, right? Right? Way too hard, right? So if you see, and people rushing in and all that kind of stuff, these are the things that we're trying to get away from. So as a player, when you're trying to keep your force under control, try to remember that. Touching, all I need to do is a touch, right? It's a lightsaber, right? You're going to set them on fire anyway. All right. So, even if it doesn't cut, boom, oh, my stuff's on fire. All right. But the point is if you start feeling it in your hand, you start feeling it when you're hitting, you're hearing that kind of stuff, try to bring it down. And also, don't rush through things. If you go too fast, you're going to hit too hard. The priority and the arming make it less important on the actual speed and getting there first. This is not a game of getting there first. It is a game. It's more of like a chess game. I'm taking a turn, you're taking a turn, and I'm trying to strategize my way to open you up to where you can't defend and I can get a touch on you, right? And hopefully that will create longer and more interesting exchanges for the people who are watching, which is one of our primary concerns.
Another part of your question, Ben, was about target areas as well.
Yes.
Technically, there isn't anything that's disallowed because you're wearing protective gear everywhere. However, intentionally targeting some specific areas could be considered a technical violation or foul.
Yes, you cannot target the groin or the neck. Okay, so you can't specifically come in here or try to come in there. Right? Those two areas are pretty off. Obviously, we're protected all over because it's not always possible to control every strike all the time, right? Especially under stress. So that's why we wear the thing. But if you're specifically targeting the neck, specifically targeting the groin, or if you specifically target the back of the head and neck. So they go past you and you go whack, right? It's, again, judgment call, but generally speaking, if we're going through something and he's coming this way, I can just do this. I don't have to hit him. All I got to do is just place my saber on the back of his head. If you hit in those areas, that's going to cause a little bit of a, what's going on there with any type of referee. So while the whole body is generally fair game, you can't score on a groin shot because of the possibility of injury, but you can score on neck touches, but you got to be really careful. And if it's found out that you, or if it's thought that you are specifically targeting the neck, you can get called on that. So,
And just to follow that off, for anyone who is completely new to this system, there is no thrusting.
right, no thrusting. And the reason is these do not flex in the thrust, which means you're getting the full forward momentum of that thrust, which even with gear on can cause injury.
We've seen these puncture half-inch plywood.
Yeah. So, you know, they're not insignificant as far as damage to be done. All right. How was that there? Anything, any follow-ups on that one?
I think that was that was a very fulsome answer to that question.
Excellent.
I thought it was,
Also, I think that the explanation also showcased the fact that the priority arming, it might not completely eliminate, but it greatly reduces the possibility of touches of luck or scores of chance, because every single hit has to be preceded by you arming and basically letting your opponent know that you're going for it. So the fact that you're preemptively striking when they're trying to get into you is no longer part of the game. So it makes it for a much safer exchange.
I liken it to playing pool, as we used to say, no slop. You have to call every shot that you do, right? Because that's the game, really, you know. So all right. Hey. So
I got one for you.
oh yes, okay.
All right. So first of all, I like the clarification as to what constitutes arming, engagement arming with a two-handed weapon. You did not need to put the entire hilt and both arms behind your head. Now you may recall,
just the weapon hand.
yeah, that makes a big difference to the range of movement required at the shoulder to execute it. And actually, I may return to this conversation at a later date once I've gone and done some more maths in the arena, so to speak. The other question I had was this: in the event that you execute an attack following engagement arming and it's parried, at that point, if you engagement arm again and deliver a second cut before any reply is offered, is that second attack valid?
No, it is not. The priority has to switch with defense, right? So I can do an engagement arming in the middle of a phrase, but it will just be a regular armed strike. So we can do this here pretty quick. I have ripped some of my hood here, so hopefully it stays intact. I'll pin this, so we've always had problems. Somebody opens up a bag of potato chips and the camera goes and they miss the cool stuff. Oh. Thank you. That would have been bad. Okay, so incorporating engagement arming in the middle of a phrase is a fun thing to do, right? It's also really strategic because you can change the rhythm of a phrase on somebody. We'll go here. We'll go slow so people can see. You can go ahead and start. So he's going to start. He's going to engage an arm. I'm going to parry here, I come over here, he does that. He comes over here, but instead I now go here. Right? Sometimes they're not expecting that, right? They get into a rhythm, boom, 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 and now they have to wait a beat as you spin, right? So we use that a whole lot, but it does not start the phrase over, right? Engagement arming doesn't dictate your engagement. Your engagement dictates engagement arming, right? When I start, I have to start big. I can do engagement arming on every strike if I want, right? I can come in and be like, boom, boom. That's totally fine.
But
Right.
there's no way for a single fighter to deliver 2 consecutive attacks. That is something that is excluded from this particular exploration. Is that
Except
On the front, on the first strike, yes. Right,
unless it's a salvo.
right. A salvo, on the other hand, is once you make a touch, you have 2 chances to reach a higher scoring target. Right? So we go through something, you can perform the salvo. So start there, I come here, boom, there. So he hit my leg and then he came up and hit that. So the way we do it is the judges will call hit and the referee will wait a beat or so to see if a salvo occurs, right? So anytime you make a hit, you can follow that up with another strike to a higher scoring target. If I get his hand, right? Boom, boom, boom. And I get his hand, that's only 1 point. I now have a chance, the hit is called, I can arm another strike and come in and get that 5 for the head. Now, or head and body, right? He also can still defend. He can stop my salvo, right? So if I do the same thing, we're going here, boom, 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 boom. I come here, bang, and I come there, and he either dodges it or parries it. I don't get that higher score, right? So once you make the hit, you can follow that up with another attack. But since we're trying to go back and forth, kind of like a tennis match, we don't want to start that out. Feinting is another thing too. We don't do feinting on the engagement arming, right? Because it's just too much of an advantage, right?
okay?
So
Okay, so
feinting has to be done within a phrase.
that was my next question. I mean, so in order to be able to have 2 attacks in a chain from one fighter, it's a requirement that the first attack lands, and that means engagement arming, scoring touch, second scoring touch as a salvo. That's how we'll see that rolling flow of action will be. That's the opportunity that's presented to see that. The other question that I had, okay, so we're not allowed to feint on engagement arming, but I'm presuming by being specific that you are allowed to feint on simple arming.
Correct.
All right. And can you define what a feint? Because feint means different things. And in this context, what is a feint?
A feint, and this is in France, this is still a little shaky. But what we have done here, and the rules that we abide by here, is the feint is a strike that changes target. It cannot go to its conclusion, right? So if my target is the body, as soon as I get to the point where I would have hit them, that's not a feint. But if I stop here and then change my target over there, as long as I don't rearm the strike, I can go boom, boom, right? Just keeping it right here, I can switch sides. Because I'm not rearming the strike. If I do a feint like this and I rearm the strike, that's no good. That's not a feint, right? That's basically losing priority. It's doing kind of 2 strikes. So if I'm coming in this way, a feint up here, and I do that, that's totally legal. Well,
So-
I mean, let's do it within a phrase so we can see it. So we're here, boom, boom, boom. There. So I went here to here. It's a short distance. It doesn't go back that way, right?
So it's like the opposite of the arming.
Good.
Yeah, so it's as long as a feint isn't rearming, it's valid. Now, is there a minimum? You said that, you know, if you're almost at the point of making contact and then you kind of surf the target and find some new point of entry, that's not valid. What's the minimum distance that you have to execute the feint before arrival?
Well, I mean, obviously that's another judgment call, which is going to be
Okay.
with your
Okay.
with the refs, because that's going to change dynamically. One of the things, one of the things, what was I going to say?
We're talking about feinting.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying. I was going to make a specific point about that, and I just kind of lost it. It will come back. Yes, it will come back.
Well, I think that it should be obvious to the judges.
Yeah.
That what
Yeah,
they
that's what I was going to say. When you, if you're a player of this, when you decide to feint, make sure it's clear, right? And another thing, again, most of the people who kind of do this will do this type of technique, right? They'll come through, and instead of feinting like that, they'll go through and they'll do like another little circle to come in, or they'll come here and they'll go, whoa, right? That's not valid because we're rearming that strike, right? So emphasis on speed and just don't rearm that strike. Keep it out in front of you, and that's going to be
I get you. So
train everybody here trying to be as clear in your actions as possible.
I mean, I'm seeing the arming and the feinting as being almost like yin and yang partners in one sense. I mean,
yeah,
they're defined by the same center line and the point of the blade for the simple arming and the feinting. Anyway, thank you for inviting me, Chad.
Very good. Thank you for coming. Let's see if we got
I'm
any.
thinking. Sorry, Master Anonymous. I'm thinking that if the judge would have any doubts whether that was an actual feint or a missed shot that was transformed into something else, then the judge would not count it as feint. So it has to be that clear that you were purposely feinting to go to the other side, and not that you just missed the shot and turned it into something else.
Right, exactly. It has to be obvious that it's intentional, right? You can't do, again, like slop, call your shots. 6 ball in the corner pocket. All right, so we get one here. From Becky. Hello, Becky. I get confused with strikes that cancel out each other or go against a participant. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Well, hopefully she'll clarify a little bit. Any ideas on that one, Matt? I don't know of any strikes that cancel each other out.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure what that means. Hopefully, and that's the other thing too. We want to avoid double hits, right? Very, very much. And one of the ways that we do that is with the engagement arming. The engagement arming is absolutely critical, in my view, to really get this game going. Once you take out the engagement arming, that simple arming is too quick to avoid the double hit, right? That's just the way.
In the wrong helmet.
Yeah, this is true. But yeah, okay.
It's interesting to note, actually, that when we leave the lightsabers off and move at tournament speed, you can't watch it. It's too fast. There's nothing to see. The blades have to be lit in order for the referees to have a hope.
Oh,
Otherwise,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, you know,
And in fact,
it's
my teacher, my Chinese teacher, who we get into Duangbing with, the Ma family, that's their whole thing. We introduced him to the lightsaber, and he loves this for the traditional Chinese martial arts. And we brought out our regular poly swords, and he looks at him, and he goes, "But these don't light up." And it's just like, it's so easy. It's so much easier to see what's going on and where the hits are and where that kind of thing is when you've got a glowing blade. So, all right. What else do we got?
We might have some people eager to try a couple of light bouts to demo. some more.
Yes, we will do a couple of light bouts here. We have limited space, but this is where we usually shoot these things. Because, well, that's where I hold class. But it also provides a good vantage point for people, you know, watching in. All right. Oh, okay. Faisal's gotta leave here really quick. So why don't we get a quick bout in between somebody who would like to go?
I am here.
All right, Desso's here. And it looks like John. Okay, so this is a light bout. I can put a timer on here. And we will. Okay. Yes, so we're gonna have a little bit less space here because this is not so wide an angle. So we'll try to keep it in this. It's not exactly gonna be perfect, but we're gonna give it a shot. So okay. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, salute. On guard. Fight. Hit. All right, halt. And set. On guard. Fight. All right, so we've got 4-0 and fight. Oh, sorry, on guard, fight. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hit on the hand, all right. So we've got 5-0 on guard. Fight. Hit. Halt. Right. To the shoulder. Now the shoulder above the kind of short sleeve area right here is considered a body. So that is 5 points. So we now have 5 all. And on guard. Fight. Hit. All right. So that is 5 to Deso. So that is 5-10 on guard. Fight. Hit. Halt. All right. So hit to the hand. So 11 or 5-11 on guard. Fight. Hit. Leg.
It was hip if that matters.
Okay, if it's hip, it's 5. So we now have 10-11 on guard. Fight. And all right, so 11 all on guard. Fight. Hit. Ah, I missed the salvo. So hit to the leg. 11-14 on guard. That's okay. That's after. On guard. Fight. Hit to the hand. 15. Awesome. All right. Salute, winner. John, we have both greens. Salute, bow. All right. Good work, everybody. And 15 seconds to spare. All right. So that's a little one. We got a mix of techniques going on in there. How did anybody? We can't hear the match at all. Yes, unfortunately, I think the delay for the stream is probably to make the match look silent. I've had that issue before with because the computer's always trying to filter out the ambient noise. So unfortunately, hoping you could see or hear my commentary there. All right, so do we have any comments or questions on there? How about you, Faisal, before you take off?
I think I actually understood what I was watching for the first time, and I think I saw someone blow through a parry there. Definitely, yeah. There was one score which was clearly parried, I thought. Let's play. I'm not going to go back. It's not. I just think.
No. Which one was that? Because sometimes it's hard to see. When I called, there was a.
It was a blow from the fighter in black coming down on the thigh on the fighter in the browns.
Oh, too, yes.
You remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Deso taking the thigh. That one seemed a little bit blowing through the parry. I agree.
So the thing about that one is it slid up his leg. John's parry was late, and Deso hit his gear and then slid up his leg. I understood that because John himself called it on him. He said right there. So
okay. Just yeah.
That's fine. So that's why that call was made. That's why I made that call. Right?
But that's the difference between seeing it on video and having a ref there on site seeing.
Right.
It.
You don't have depth perception, right? So it's very difficult to see what's hitting first, right?
Well, I think where we are now with, like, as a community with these LED sabers. I think it's time to start looking into some really simple tech for our events and tournaments so that we can have a twin camera set up at 90 degrees and we can broadcast with I'm looking into this. I'm going on a mission tomorrow to talk to a man about this business. And to be honest, the format, it doesn't really matter. Regardless of the format, the tech and the equipment that we wear, all of this stuff seems fairly common. And what you have is a very, very interesting game there. I mean, it's very different from what we do normally, but it's a beautiful introduction to some of the things that people find quite difficult. So when you're here, dude, come and play. I mean,
definitely.
And if any of my lot are heading across the pond, I'll give them instructions on how to find you. Right on.
All right, we're going to do another one here quick. If you want to stick around.
That's me. I gotta go.
All right,
Peace
then.
to you all, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks for stopping by.
Take care, bro. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, so now we've got our next bout here. And I can put my gloves on for this one. All right, so we've got Frank and James going here. Let me get the timer set again. All right, salute to your opponent. Salute to the officials. All right. And yeah, if you can give me another vantage point on certain things too, that would be good. All right, on guard. Fight. Hit. All right. Oh, halt. Okay, so he missed the salvo. So 3-0 for green. On guard. Fight. Hit. All right, and he blocked the salvo. So 6-0, failed salvo, very nicely done. On guard. Fight. Oh, all right. Weapon deactivation. So did he hit you? On the hand. Okay, so we've got 6-1. 6-1, green, on guard. Fight. Hit. All right, halt. That, ladies and gentlemen, was a perfect salvo. Okay, he hit the hand, he got the leg, and then he went up to the head before halt was called. So very nicely done. What do we got? 11-1. On guard. Fight. Hit. All right. Got the 3.
Frank?
Did not get the salvo. Yep, Frank.
Frank?
Yep, sorry.
Frank, some of those are coming in awfully hot.
Okay. Yep, watch the thing. All right, on guard. Fight. Hit. All right, and salvo. Almost. Very good match. All right, bow to your opponents. Bow to the officials. Nicely done, gentlemen. Very good. And that's the other thing too. Just because there's a disparity of skill or experience does not preclude people engaging in this game, right? So you still had, even though you might have a score of 15-1, that's not a close match. I mean, that was a close match. There was an exchange. There's going back and forth and back and forth. And the deciding factors came down to small little bits of timing. Your parry's just a little late. It's just a little too far this way or anything like that. So we kind of accentuate the reality of what you kind of have to do. And also with the salvos, you don't drop your guard after you get a touch. And that's something that I think is really important to us, because that's one of the things that we get into the habit of in anything, right? Is we get to, oh, you got me. Okay, we're going to stop, but that's not how, how it works. You should be able to kind of continue into that way. All right. Okay, so.
Feedback from our panel while we're checking questions?
Yes. Panel, right. All right. Yes. Feedback from our panel. How do you guys?
Also, do you have-
Yes. Now we've got both of the twins here, so people can think they're seeing double. All right. Yeah.
I thought it made for a very visually interesting set of bouts. Now you can see on the first set of bouts how that engagement arming came not only from circular engagements, but from very big, very visual overhead engagements, but that you had to bring that weapon completely behind the center line. On the on that second bout, you could see those that Makashi influence, very good use of those moon guards, and you could see those positions, you can see those techniques that come directly from the basics practice, and the rule set gives a chance to highlight and give the chance to showcase those type of techniques so that the spectator can see them in a way that makes for a very engaging bout, not only for the people that are actually participating on it, but for the people that are spectating it.
Yes, and that is definitely the idea. That's what we're kind of going for.
So often martial arts bouting of a variety of different kinds is the only people who really see what's happening are the people who are participating as well. And this opens it up to to anybody who wants to come and watch.
Yeah, and so we have a question here on the chat about how the scoring goes. I'll just quickly go through that. Yes, it is the first person to 15 points. Right now, if you're just playing like single bouts or you're in a round robin, it's just a 15. But if you're playing like in a team tournament where you're accruing points, then you will take as many points as you earn in there. It all depends on kind of how the event is being handled. So the basic rules of each bout is first one to 15 or the highest scorer at the end of 3 minutes. So we have 3-minute rounds. The clock does not stop. Now we do separate the fighters, have them do an on guard and go through there. But the idea is, and our refs will be trained that way, to keep the action moving. Every bout is going to be 3 minutes long, right? Now, as you get better at this stuff, and as the refereeing starts going, it will become more and more like a single 3-minute fight, like a boxing match, right? That's the goal, is to get it so seamlessly that it keeps moving and it keeps moving. But we just have these tiny little punctuation marks in there, but we're trying to keep the action moving, as it were.
And again, for anybody who might be watching now or at any time in the future, briefly, points are 1 point for hands or the weapon hilt itself.
Right.
3 points for arms and legs. 5
And
points.
right, the arm,
From the, like where a t-shirt sleeve would end.
right,
That's-
top of the bicep.
That's the shoulder. For the torso, it's the line, the hip line up is the torso. And so torso and head are 5 points.
Yes. So 1, 3, and 5.
I have a real quick addition, something that we didn't do for our match though, because I just remembered it, is sudden death rules. If both of your competitors get to 10 points or more, then you go to sudden death where only head and body shots count, and it's in the match.
Well, that's just for when you're in a
Right,
tournament
in a
or
competition,
in a competition, or a tournament that requires that type of scoring, right? Like if you're in a round robin tournament, you know, sudden death is going to be when you reach the end of 3 minutes and you are tied, right? But in like the way the French do it, they do it. What do they call it? I don't remember. It's basically a team challenge, and then that's because you're accruing points through each match. Yeah, when you get to 10 all, then it switches over to sudden death. But again, those types of things are kind of like a shell game. We can move those around to a certain extent. All right. Anybody else have anything to add here? Thoughts or whatever? How have you guys enjoyed working with it this weekend?
It's great. I mean, it's all kinds of fun. Everybody should do it.
In a word, it's exhilarating. It takes a lot of the fun that comes from contact and combat sports, but it removes a lot of the fear. Like people who enjoy boxing, there's real danger of you getting injured if you go into boxing or if you go into a cage. Here, we're all geared up, so you might get a little bit of a bruise, but even then, we're only touching each other. And you're up, you're moving, you're getting a lot of energy expended, you're burning calories, and you're having fun doing it. So
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely hard work.
I will just say, the ASL system is a bit of a change from, your normal combat situation. And it's a little bit of a different style of fighting, but once you figure out the system and once you understand it, I think it works wonderfully. And it really makes for excellent matches. It allows you to do incredible things that you would never be able to do in a regular fight. And I think it just makes for a wonderful spectator to see, the event looks cool. It just looks good.
Spins and all that kind of thing are now viable techniques, right? The things that like coming from a kung fu background, there's all of this stuff that we do in forms that are pretty much agility and trying to desensitize dizziness and all that kind of stuff that actually can be used as is in this rule set. So that's a great thing. And again, it does even the playing field a little bit so that you have people of a ton of experience like John going against somebody who doesn't have as much, and yet the match is still engaging. It's not like he went up there and he just kept getting hit and he wasn't able to get any techniques off, right? He was still able to play. And like I said, I mean, it's really what's really great about it is it does have that thing where you don't know who is going to win, right? Like even me, it's like people can, if they get past your sword, they get past your sword. That's all that there is to it. There's no real, that's just life.
We have in this room, we have a really broad range of not just levels of experience, but martial or combative experience. And I would be hard pressed if I didn't know everyone here. I'd be hard pressed to say who's been studying some kind of swordsmanship or martial art for 5-10 years, and who just came into this and has just been studying within this system, and who's been working on something for a couple of years. The interplay is so dynamic, and so exciting. Love the how much you've been doing in what style. It really becomes secondary once you get familiarized with how this process works.
Absolutely. Okay, so Aro, do you have anything to add? We kind of you had a little technical glitch, I think.
Yeah, my phone was dying, so I actually took my wife's phone and logged in. So
There
that
you go.
I
Okay.
wouldn't get disconnected.
So yeah, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think that one of the other wonderful things about the system, besides being kind of an equalizer of skills, it also allows the person of lesser skill to have an enjoyable experience throughout the bout, even when they're mismatched against somebody who might have a lot more experience, because the system itself lends itself to allowing them to experiment and to try out things throughout the match that in a more traditional system, or in a system that did not have the priority set up so that they'd have their chance, they wouldn't get to do anything at all, because they'd be constantly overwhelmed by the person who has more experience.
Yep.
So I think it's another thing.
And it goes both ways too. As a person with more experience, you now have far more opponents that you can play with at a high level, right? I don't have to rein myself in as much when I'm in the rule set. I can just go at it. It doesn't matter how much they've got. And yeah, I've lost, bouts and stuff like that too. It's just yesterday. I mean, when we're all going around, we all had our wins and losses, right? Ranked beginners can beat experts and all of that. It's all a matter of, do you get the hit or do you not? And or get the touch or do you not? And that's really, really where it is. And since with the priority in arming, you're not limited by your physical limitations, right? I can see engagement arming, right? Even if he does it as fast as the wind, I can see it. It's a whole body movement. It goes around, all that. So I don't have to have the acuity and the visual acuity and the nervous system and reflexes of Bruce Lee to be able to handle that particular strike. This is why I'm very a big proponent of the engagement arming portion of it, because without that, you get stuff that looks far more like most everything else, which is just quick, trying to get the touches, and move out. And we kind of want to expand on that, have it a little bit different. So, all right, let's see what we got here on the live stream. All right, so we got another UK person there. All right, so I think that's it for us here. We will kind of take our leave. Let everybody go here. We still have a little bit more of the weekend to go. So watch out for those videos. We'll be doing that kind of stuff more through here. And all this fall, we're going to be doing special 10th anniversary shows with various guests, various topics and all of that. So if you're not following us on Facebook and YouTube and all of that, please go ahead and do that. If you have things you want to see, you want us to demonstrate, want us to do, want us to explain, let us know. We like that feedback. We really enjoy kind of exploring this type of stuff, you know. And our goal is to popularize it out there. We're not trying to become, you know, we started this, we weren't trying to become the lightsaber people. We are trying to give stuff to a community of lightsaber people. So we see all of these other groups growing. We love that, right? That's what we wanted. That's our goal. Our goal was not to be the one and only, to be the experts, to be there, as much as some of the comments on our videos will try to say, right? That is not part of it, right? And it's certainly not for the money, of which there is none. So yeah.
If there's a non-altruistic aspect of this, it's that the more people who are doing this, the more people we have to play with in the world.
Yes, exactly.
This
So-
holds true for everybody
Right.
here.
Yes, exactly. This is a way that we can come into a group. We don't have to worry about, you know, levels and stuff like that. That was how we always used belts in martial arts, so that when you put two people up in sparring, you know what the level is, so that one person isn't just mopping the floor with the other person can learn. Because that's the whole point. Loss is your best teacher, right? The fact that I can play a game now where I can lose and I have to go back and say, okay, I got to figure something out. That's helping me, right? As somebody who's done this for a very, very long time with many different people in many different scenarios, there's still more to learn and there's still more to continue on the journey. And that's really the important part. All right, so we'll do one quick here check, see if there's any more questions. I don't see anything, so I will. We'll go here. So let's grab your sabers here. We'll do the traditional salute to send us off into our Sunday afternoons. We're probably going to be doing more of this stuff. Woo, some people have sound. Impressive. All right. So from all of us here at TPLA, thank you for joining us. Patience, practice, perseverance.
Safe sabering.
Happy sabering.